Welcome to the Executive Coaching Podcast, where executive coach Alicia Cowan will discuss leadership topics and coaching solutions to tackle the most difficult problems that keep you from leading your team to success.
Hey, it's Alicia Cowan, and welcome to episode number 15 of the Executive Coaching Podcast. So it is mid-June as I'm recording this, and we are in the thick of summer. And last time we recorded, we were just kicking off summer and getting out of school. And we are working through what we call the summer bucket list here at the Cowan House. We went to what's called a metro lagoon last weekend. We took our youngest daughter and one of her really good friends to this man-made lagoon. And it's super fun. They have a bunch of water activities where you can do obstacle courses on the water, kayak, and do stand-up paddleboarding. And we just had this amazing day sitting under palm trees in this man-made lagoon and had a blast. And so really starting to get into the thick of summer. All the camps are starting, all the activities, all the things. We do have a house update as well. We're building a house here in the Wesley Chapel area and finally have drywall sitting in the house, not up yet, but working through a couple of remediations to get through. Then we will start putting this drywall up. So it has been a long time coming. So I know you've been with me on this journey as we build this house. So that's where the house is, current status. And then if you've been following me for a while on this podcast and may have heard too, my mother-in-law, who is very sweet and amazing, is on her way here, moving from Southern Oregon. She sold her home in Southern Oregon, driving cross country, and also purchased a new home in the neighborhood across from ours, and it's closing in 2 weeks. So we are so excited to celebrate her new home here in the Wesley Chapel area. So as always, nothing short of busy here in the Cowan House. So we got a lot going on, and we're really excited to make some progress on some of these houses. Another thing that's been going on for me is, I moved here a little over a year ago, and I've been really deepening my roots in the community. And I've been trying to join some different groups. And I most recently joined an executive HR group, and I've joined a women's group for managers and executives as well that has just been amazing. And I've met some really great people and had some really great conversations as well as a part of these groups. And I'm continuing, of course, my coaching business. I've been doing one-on-one coaching as well as group coaching. And as a part of that, both the meeting of the new people and the coaching, I've been hearing some themes that, of course, I want to share some of the topics with you. And I think it's really helpful because I consider you as listeners on this podcast, my clients as well. And so I like to take anything that I'm learning and hearing and ideas that I'm having and share them with you so that if there's something that you're experiencing too, perhaps you can take something away from it and also share it with someone if they're going through something similar. So one thing that I wanted to talk about is what I'm going to call the care team, and maybe checking and doing an audit for where you're at in your career and both personal, professional situation, and just kind of doing a quick check to see if you have the right people in place for your care team that you need. So I'll explain what I mean. So, over the years, I've always asked leaders that I see them accomplishing and achieving so much, and personally, professionally, have a lot going on. I always like to ask, how they do it. How do they get it all done? And I always share the story years ago when I lived in Columbus, Ohio, and I lived across the street from a really successful female politician, and asked her along the way the same question, how do you do it all? How do you accomplish so much in your personal and professional life? And I thought I was going to get some amazing advice and wisdom, and I did, but it wasn't what I thought. So after I asked her this, she kind of leaned in and got a little bit quieter and just whispered this advice. And she's like, just hire a housekeeper. And I had to laugh even to this day. Like I was like shocked. I can't imagine what my face looked like. But at the time I was like, oh, okay. A little taken aback. Like, oh, it's just that simple. Like I have permission to hire a housekeeper. And it seemed like a really, really simple thing. And I know you may think this is ridiculous because you've had someone helping you at the house for a long period of time. But for me, again, younger in my career, I had to like think about it. And I totally did and was game changing for me and continue to have somebody clean my house to this day. So really, again, it's been a powerful way to buy back some of my time and make me think about how I best use my time and where my time is prioritized and what I want to spend it on. And so in that way, I very much exchange money for time in that situation. So when I say care team, that's sort of what I mean is who is in your circle that of your priorities is helping you achieve some of those things that you want to achieve. And it can be, again, be within your career or within your own development and your own learning, but it also can be in your personal life where you can invest just in getting more leisure time, more time to yourself, more time with your family. It can be within your health, physical, mental, proactive health prevention. It can be within financial health. It can be within spiritual health, whatever it may be that is important and a priority to you. Any of those areas where you feel like maybe you could use some different areas of support. Do you have the right help and support you need? Now, it doesn't mean you have to have support in all those areas. It really is what's important to you and taking a second to pause and think through it. And I think that what I've heard from a lot of people over the years, and again, most recently because it's been coming up, is at times there's like a combination of a guilt and shame associated with outsourcing some help. The one thing I've heard, I've shared this story lots of different times about the hiring of a housekeeper, hiring to get somebody to help you around the house. And I've shared that with executives over the years and people that I've come across. And I will say, one time I was sharing it with a female executive that was very happy in a financial institution, had a great job. But she expressed so much fear around hiring someone to clean her house because she was like, I am the only person on my whole street that is a working parent, a working mom. And she's like, I'm really nervous about what the other moms will say if they see somebody coming to clean my house. And there's a lot of fear around it. And again, I can understand where she's coming from. But I want to share is we talked through it. And, I think the trade-off, right? The trade-off of, well, what would you rather be spending your time with when you do have your free time and you're at home? What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be scrubbing the tub? Do you want to be spending some time with the kids? What's your trade-off? Where do you want to be? And she was able to kind of work through that. And we talked through it. And I want to say that kind of feeling, that sentiment is not uncommon. I think I've heard from lots of different executives as they've, again, risen to different levels within their career. I think what is amazing is they've been able to take with them, right, everything that's got them to be successful for where they're at. But at times when you get to a certain level, you have to realize your influence and your value is absolutely something that is an asset, right? So you are the asset, your brain and the body that houses that brain is now an asset that absolutely creates value in the world, which also creates other jobs, which also impacts other people's careers, other people's welfare, and your value and the contribution that you're making into the world is, in a sense, has to be optimal and optimized. So you have to be at your best, at your healthiest in order, again, to have that influence. And this isn't meant to be like a pump up your ego and all that sort of thing, which, again, hopefully you do think you're amazing because you are. But essentially, that's the truth, right? You get to a certain level within the org and you are impacting at times hundreds, if not thousands of people. And the value that you're bringing and the value that you're adding, again, you are, in a sense, creating jobs, creating careers, creating the state of what it's like to be within your culture, within your environment. And so if you don't view yourself as that asset and making sure that you have what you need in order to be at your optimal health and optimal, again, output, then you're not doing yourself the best service, right? And so I think at times there's just this identity shift that needs to happen. So when you get to the certain level, it's not meant to be you're the end all be all, right? Of course, that's not it. But you do have to realize what the time and what the value is that you need to bring to the organization and to yourself, right? And what you need for balance in your personal and your professional life. So doing this audit and dropping some of the guilt is super important. And I think about an individual that got to a certain level of success and just was like killing it and realized it was time to bring on even more help than just someone to clean the house. And she brought in an house manager to manage lots of different things around the house. And she had this moment with her family where it was like, how do we do this? And can we justify this? And is it okay to just kind of take a nap while someone's doing some of this work? And realize that, yes, the investment into herself, her family, the rest, the relaxation, the being at optimal prime health is super important. And realizing that, yes, she had really reached a level of privilege, but also could use that in order to create jobs, including for this person that is helping her at her house, right? And so I think making that identity shift into someone that, again, has reached a level of success, and absolutely that is amazing, but continuing to do the same things that you were doing before and using your time and investing your time in the same places is not always the best use of your time. And so you have to really kind of look at that value and how you want to trade off. And so hopefully this helps a little bit. And again, I gave you a couple of ideas to maybe spark some thoughts around maybe where you want to best invest your time, maybe where you want to start to outsource and start to build out your care team. And maybe have some thoughts around dropping some of the guilt or maybe the shame around, I know at times there can be a stigma around it, right? That you should be able to do it all and that you should be able to do all the things that you were doing before. But I want to offer you that that's just simply not true. And that there are a lot of different alternative thoughts of how do I best use my time? Is this in a way creating jobs for someone else? And really, again, shifting your thought around yourself as the asset and how to make sure that you're investing in yourself and being at your optimal self so that you can give back and continue to give back. So if you want help with this, and again, I know this is not easy stuff. I kind of really just looked at it from a 30,000 foot view, but if you're, have specifics or if you need even support with thinking through ideas, and maybe somebody else that needs to hear this. And again, I know I did, and I have shared the piece of advice that I got many years ago, time and time again, and had a really good laugh over it many times as well. Because we're not alone, and you are not alone in this. And so, again, hopefully this helps you. But if you know somebody else that might need to build out some of their care and their care team, pass this message along. I'd really appreciate it. And as always, if you need support, you can reach out to me on this platform or on my website. It's aliciacowancoaching.com, always in the show notes. And as always, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. Go get them. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Executive Coaching Podcast with Alicia Cowan. If you're ready to have an executive coach who's ready to help you lead your team to success, then book an introductory call at aliciacowancoaching.com/call.